Millionaire before 30. Who cares, right? When there are teenagers on Instagram making millions of dollars before they're old enough to drink. Well, unfortunately for me, I haven't been on the money hype train for too long, and I'm already 21. So here's my 9-year roadmap for becoming a millionaire at 29. Before we dive into the numbers here, I wanted to give a little bit of background about myself. Of course, if you're not interested, just skip to here where we jump into the numbers. I just finished my 3rd year at Carnegie Mellon. I study information systems. First of all, I want to say that I'm incredibly privileged to be in this situation where my parents have fully paid off my college tuition. I've also been working at Amazon for the past 2 summers as a software engineering intern, and I plan on returning here again next fall if I get that sweet return offer. Now let's take a look at the numbers. There are a number of positive contributing factors here, 5 of them in total, and they are: 1, the rate of return on my money. So I plan on investing my money as I make it, basically just putting it into a index fund that tracks the S&P 500. And if you're not familiar with the S&P 500, it's basically just a basket of the 500 largest companies that are being publicly traded. And if you put your money into one of these index funds, you can expect around 10.5% return every year. That's kind of the average of the past 100 years. But that number really fluctuates from 8 to 12% depending on who you ask. So I've put that number at a conservative 8% because I want to reach this goal in all cases, not just the optimistic or the base cases. So the second number that I want to talk about are my college savings. So software engineering internships pay a lot, and I've been trying to save as much as humanly possible these past 2 summers to set myself up as well as possible financially after I graduate. I also had a part-time job in my freshman year of college that gave me a little bit of income. And so in total, assuming there are no major costs before I graduate in the next year, I'll expect to have around $55,000 saved up throughout my time in college. The third number I want to talk about is my first half-year salary. So first off, my birthday is April 2001. And if I want to be a millionaire before I'm 30, that means I need to have $1 million before April 2031. Makes sense, right? Well, I'm starting my full-time employment in August 2023. So from August 2023 to April 2031 is the time frame that I have to get $1 million. It's about 7.5 years. And between the ages of 22, when I graduate from college, and 23, I'll have only been working from August 2023 until April 2024. So only around half a year. So the fourth number that I'm going to talk about is my entry-level engineer salary. This one's pretty self-explanatory. After I graduate, I'll have a job, and that's my entry-level job. And the number that I've put for this box is net of any taxes and expenses. It's pretty much the number that I expect to put into my investments each year that I'm still an entry-level engineer. A couple things about this are I'm including any retirement contributions that I have, such as my 401k or my Roth IRA, as well as my RSUs or my restricted stock units that are very commonplace to serve as compensation if you work at a tech company. So the fifth and final number that we're going to talk about is my level 2 salary. This one is also very simple. In tech, generally you work from 1.5 to 2.5 years after you graduate, and after that amount of time you get promoted to level 2. The level 2 salary also has a higher number of pay, which is why the number that I put in the box is a little bit higher than the level 1 salary. I haven't done too much research into how long it takes to get promoted from level 2 to level 3. So for now, I've just put that I'll stay a level 2 engineer until I'm 30. So now that we've taken a look at all of the positive contributing factors, let's take a look at the negative contributing factors, or my expenses. So currently I'm interning at Amazon in Seattle, and I have plans to continue living here or in San Francisco after I graduate. And after looking around at apartments.com, I've come to the conclusion that I can comfortably get a decent apartment, utilities included, for around $2,000 per month, or $24,000 per year. That sounds like a bunch of money, but that is the bulk of my expenses. The second expense category that I expect to have is food. Now, I don't cook all of my meals, but I feel like eating out now with inflation is just way too expensive. So after graduating, I really want to hunker down and meal prep as much as possible to save on food. With that being said, I still want to allow myself to eat out and be lazy occasionally, so I've allocated $500 a month or $6,000 per year for food. I also plan to occasionally upgrade my tech, whether it be my computer, my phone, my iPad, speakers, headphones, you name it. As a result, I've allocated around $1,800 per year for this, or $150 a month. As for toiletries, I'm expecting to pay around $30 a month for that, and that's anything from toilet paper, paper towels, moisturizers, cleansers, sunscreen. And I think these are pretty much essential because skincare is really important, especially for someone like me who tends to get acne a lot. And my final expense category is just the recreational category. This is basically just giving myself a little bit of leeway to have fun, do whatever I want, go out on the weekends or travel every couple of months, take some PTO, and really give myself some peace of mind so I don't have to be tracking dollar for dollar and stress out about if I'm just a couple dollars over my budget. And so I've allocated a nice $1,000 per month or $12,000 per year. And adding up all of these expenses, we get a total of $45,000 per year. So now that the expenses are out of the way, let's dive a little deeper into these salary numbers. So the website that I use to calculate my take-home income is smartasset.com, and Washington is blessed with having 0 state income taxes. So plugging in my expected salary of $170,000 after I graduate, we can see that after taxes, there's about $130,000 left over as take-home pay. This number is of course including the 401k contributions. And after you factor in my expenses of $45,000, the number that we get take home to put into my investments every year is about $85,000. So if we take that number, 85, divided by 2, we get about $40,000 for that first half year salary that I mentioned earlier. My level 1 pay is what we just went over, $85,000. Then after 2.5 years, hopefully I'll be promoted, and I've seen pay bumps of around $20,000. So if that's the case, then that take-home pay will go from $130,000 to $145,000, and factoring in my expenses, we'll be left with a nice round number of $100,000 to go into my investments. So now let's hop on over to a quick Google Sheets that I've made. I've created a couple basic tables. The first one is just my expense categories, the amount that I expect to spend every single year that detracts from my income. And the second one is my net worth by age. So the net worth by age table, the left-hand column is just my age. The middle column is the amount of money that I expect to make in the year prior. So take the row where the left-hand column is 24. The middle column is 85,000, which is how much I expect to make between the ages of 23 and 24. And the right-hand column is the amount of total wealth that I expect to have by that age. This number is of course adjusted using the rate of return that I mentioned near the start of the video. So the first year, which is when the left-hand column is 22, the middle column is $55,000, or the amount that I expect to have saved by the time I graduate college. And of course the right-hand column is also $55,000 because that's the amount that I have saved. The second year, 23, is my first half year of income. So $40,000 goes into that middle column. So $94,414 goes into the right column. And that's because I'll have made 8% interest on my $55,000 from the year prior, and I'll also have made an additional $40,000 between the ages of 22 and 23. After the first half year, I'll have full year salary, and then in a few years, I'll be promoted. And then by the time 30 is in the left-hand column, I should have $1 million if all goes well in the right-hand column. So that's it. That's my entire model. It's very, very simple. Some things that I want to add are, it's definitely not perfect. Say I spend less than $1,000 a month on my entertainment expenses. There's a chance that I could reach millionaire status maybe a year or two earlier. And by that same mindset, if I spend a little more than $1,000, say $2,000 or $3,000 per month, that could really set me back in terms of net worth by age. So I could reach it maybe 33, 34. Some additional drawbacks to this model are that it kind of just assumes that I'm receiving my total yearly salary on my birthday, which is definitely not the case. Most companies pay bi-weekly or monthly or something like that, definitely not once in a year. The numbers on the right-hand side will also vary wildly from reality. Even if that end number at 30 does hit 1 million, all the other numbers in the right-hand column probably won't be completely accurate. And that's just because the stock market is very volatile. Even though on average it returns between 8 to 12% per year, it rarely actually returns that much. And one bad year or one really good year could really shift those numbers from the projections. So if you're in a similar spot in life, a little ahead, a little behind, or you just want to see where you are in your financial goals timeline, you may be asking yourself how you can do this too. And because you've been watching for so long, I've decided to include a link in the description to a copy of the Google Sheets that I've used, just so you can plug in your own numbers and see how far or how close you are to your financial goals. You don't even have to copy my template. It's so simple on its own. But just to save you a couple minutes, you can use the link in the description. Final words for this video, I want to say again that I've been super lucky to go to Carnegie Mellon University, have my parents pay for my college tuition, and just lucky to have been surrounded by people who work way harder than me so that I'm motivated to work just like a little bit harder. I don't even think being a millionaire by 30 is something to brag about on social media. I've just been thinking about this for a little while and decided to share it with you guys. You know, I may hit millionaire status at 33 or 27, or I might not even hit it at all. Who knows? At the end of the day, this is kind of just like a fun budgeting experiment to see how seriously or how frugal I can be and how much that will affect my net worth. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.